There's a new security threat we wanted to bring to everyone's attention that's particularly concerning. It's a new phishing kit that's been made available. Microsoft's already seeing millions of phishing attempts using this kit, and it's essentially an adversary-in-the-middle campaign kit. Basically what that means is that the attackers, they've created a reverse proxy that allows the attackers to be in the middle of your communications. The real reason, however, why we are concerned about it is because it allows attackers to evade two-factor authentication. What happens is the attackers are presenting a URL, a connection to a web page, which when you enter your credentials, it then gathers those credentials and it will pass them over to the legitimate site. So let's say Microsoft's Office platform, Office Suite 365. It will then get the challenge request for your credential, passes it back to the malicious site that you are interacting with. You will then supply your two-factor authentication token, which the bad guys will then, using that reverse proxy, pass over to the Microsoft end of the login page. And then, of course, they can log in as you. And, of course, that communication can then be kept open. So anything you send will then be proxied through this request, this connection. When they get that credentials and they get access, until they log out or the session times out, they have access to your account. If you are an administrator or if administrators are using the administrator accounts, you'll then have full admin rights if you're the bad guy to that system, that account. So what can you do to mitigate the risk? So number one, of course, two-factor authentication is critical. You still need to have that in place, because if you don't, when the attackers do that reverse proxy, they've just got access to your credentials and they can just use that. They can capture those and reuse those. The other thing you can do is conditional logging. This basically means that you can restrict where your users log in from. So if you're mostly working in the UK and your staff is based in the UK, you can restrict logins to only come from that location. The other thing to do is, of course, monitor for these systems yourselves to make sure that you know what normal behavior looks like for your users. Last thing, unfortunately, really, is that we are about to do a talk and a webinar actually on this, which is around cyber resilience. And really what cyber resilience is getting into is to say that you need to make sure that you plan for the worst, basically. Be prepared to deal with an issue and contain it as quickly as possible, and assume that you are going to get breached at some point.